Yeah, well, they're getting ready to go on.
Okay.
They'll pull us back up on the video when the program starts.
Okay.
The following is a paid program. Talk 103.7 WTIB and Cable Channel 7 welcome you into Financially Speaking with Jim Taunton. Find us live on radio, TV, the IBX Media app, and on YouTube. Just search Financially Speaking NC or get the link at WTIBFM.com. The opinions expressed in this show are for general informational purposes only and not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine what investments may be appropriate for you, consult with your attorney, accountant, financial, or tax advisor prior to investing. Securities and investment advisory services are offered through Genoa Wealth Management Incorporated, member FINRA, SIPC. Now, here's your host for Financially Speaking, certified financial advisor, Jim Taunton.
And welcome to Financially Speaking. Jim Taunton, your host for the next 30 minutes. So glad you joined me. No callers tonight. Normally I'm begging for callers, but tonight no callers. We have an esteemed guest on. He's been on several times, actually. And he is Louis Navellier. He's on every financial program known to mankind. Louis, thanks for joining.
It's an honor to be here, Jim.
And we have some things to talk about. It is such an interesting market to me. And I've been, 79 when I started in financial services.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been doing it a long time. And it just, there's so many things, so many moving parts now. It'd be interesting to see how it shakes out. But I thought I would, and by the way, we're not going to a mid-program break either. We're eliminating that to give Louis all the time he needs. I told you I would start off the program by mentioning that Tom at Fundstrat says that the first 5 days of the year, trading days, are extremely important, typically. The percentages are overwhelming in this line. But 5 days, if the 5 days are positive, then the year looks very good, and they've been very positive. So are we going to be up this year, Louis?
Yeah, Tom is correct. And MarketWatch has a similar article out with about the top first 10 days. But yeah, as January goes, the year goes. We are in a full-fledged January effect. Small mid-caps are doing great. And for lack of a better word, we're melting up. And even on Monday, when we had the little whoop-de-doo because there were some tariff concerns, the gold stocks were screaming, and I recommend 16 gold stocks. I also have a copper stock. It was screaming, and they're still running higher right now. So I feel very, very good. And I think the main comment I would have is we ended last year on kind of an odd note because from mid-October, actually October 22nd to mid-November, there was a short squeeze underway, and that's when everybody was talking about Michael Burry and things like that. And, I rank stocks A, B, C, D, F, and the F-rated stocks did unusually well in the fourth quarter, even though they had no fundamentals. And what we like to say is crap doesn't float very long, and it's going to go back down. And that's exactly what's happening this quarter. The crap has flamed out. The market's going to quality. The stocks that have positive ounce revisions are headed higher. So the market's trying to broaden out. Obviously, we're in a 5% GDP growth environment, and there's just a lot to be excited about.
Yeah, you've been touting the 5% GDP now for, 30, 60 days, and become quite famous for that, by the way. But I've actually...
Yeah, Maria Balderrama was very kind to me. Yeah.
I'm sorry?
Maria Balderrama was very kind to me. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, she's been touting you. I've heard 6 to 7% from some sources. What do you say about that one?
Yeah, I'm in the 6% camp. I don't know if we can push 7. A lot of it's trade. Trade in the third quarter, which they just revised up to 4.4%. Last I looked, 1.6% was trade. So that was surging exports from gold and pharmaceuticals, non-China pharmaceuticals. Obviously, we also export a lot of energy-related products, LNG, refined fuels and things, plus crude oil. So if energy prices went up, we could actually close the trade gap. But the deficit's the lowest in 16 years, and exports are the second highest ever recorded.
Louis, I've talked about the national debt and deficit on this program, I don't know, countless times, and I've been
Mm-hmm.
saying that the only way for us to make a dent in that is to grow out of it. Cuts are great, and I like the idea of cutting the government spending, but cuts are like spitting in the ocean. They're really not going to make a big difference. We've got to grow ourselves out, increase the tax base. What do you say about that?
Yeah, we're trying. We have demographic issues. The baby boomers are going to be hitting Social Security. I have a very odd story to tell you. I'm 68, haven't taken Social Security yet. I was going to wait till I was 70, and of course, you're younger, you can take it at a higher age limit. But I did get a nice letter from the IRS not that long ago that says I'm not getting it, and apparently goes back to a dispute I had in California. It's a long story. I lost the right to work, and somebody would sell me the right to work for $11 million a year, and it took 6 years to get this overturned. But during that 6 year period, there was a judgment against me, and it's a long story. I had to pay for the right to work, so they're going to fill that judgment with my Social Security proceeds. So I will not get my Social Security. So it's. I was a little surprised they did that. I didn't know the feds would collect for the states, and that happened under the Biden administration.
That's interesting. I, 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 I don't
Yeah,
know
and I
how
still
you.
pay into it.
How
I
do
still
you
pay into it
lose?
now.
I thought everybody has a right to work.
No, not in the blue states. No, not in New York, not in California, not in Oregon, Washington, Minnesota, Maryland. Yeah. No, it's I left a firm. They argued I couldn't leave, but they didn't compensate me. Okay. And so the reason I won 6 years later is they didn't pay me for the right to work. So I was, they said they'd sell me the right to work for $11 million a year. I mean, this is when I was 27 years old. This is pretty outrageous back then. But you have to pay for the right to work in some of the blue states.
Yeah, Louis, you're one of those rich capitalist pigs the Dems talk
Yep.
about.
Yep. Yeah, I know.
I would think that losing Social Security is not going to affect you. Your
No,
lifestyle
I'll be
very
fine.
much.
It's just annoying. I get my Social Security statement. It's
Yeah,
annoying. I'm still paying into it.
yeah. Well, just talk to us. I've made no notes for this program. I usually make a few, but I just basically want to wind you up and let you go. So you just tell us, what you're thinking about everything that you're thinking about right now.
Well, obviously, the Trump administration went to Davos to hit the reset button. And so basically they said that between President Trump and Howard Lutnick, the Commerce Secretary, they basically said that globalism is dead. Outsourcing doesn't make sense. You should seal your borders. You should protect your people. The experiment with globalization was a failure. All you did is impoverish your working class. And so he gave them a big lecture how Europe is dying and America is a better model. And of course, none of them accept that. When Howard Lutnick was talking, he got heckled by Al Gore. And Christine Lagarde, the head of the European Central Bank, walked out on him. So, there's some issues in Europe. And so I found that pretty interesting. Of course, Trump was threatening tariffs on some of our NATO allies if they were blocking our attempt to buy Greenland. And So he dropped that tariff demand, but there is a framework for us to buy Greenland, and JD Vance is negotiating it. And of course, Denmark, and no one wants us to sell Greenland. I think what ticked Trump off is NATO sent a bunch of troops to Greenland to protect them from America, and that really ticked them off.
Yeah, a bunch of troops. I thought it was like 25.
Yeah, it was a photo op. Yeah, it was a photo op. Yeah. And but this is what Trump does. He wants you to be the most uncomfortable you can be when he negotiates with you. So he succeeded, and now we're accelerating from 4.4% GDP growth in the third quarter to an estimated 5.4 in the fourth quarter. And I do think we'll cross over 6% this year, largely due to the trade numbers. The biggest drag on the U.S. economy is residential real estate. It was a 5.1% drag in the second and third quarters. And if we can fix housing a bit, that would help immensely. And of course, we are going to have a new Fed chairman, and we are going to have more rate cuts. I guess if there is a threat to our economy, it's deflation. The whole world has soft to falling prices because the whole world got old. The only countries that are still growing are us and India. And in America, thanks to pro-family regions in the South and the Mountain West, we are still creating households. We do assimilate our immigrants. Obviously, Trump wants them to be legal. And but what's going on is we are the oasis for the world. I mean, we're food and energy independent. We have a better model. Our 50 states compete with each other, and they better. And if America wins, they win, because we'll lift everybody. Trump was saying that. So I'm very comfortable with the new order. I know the European elites are frazzled right now and scrambling, but that's too bad.
It is. They just need to get with it. This is the way it's going to be.
Yeah.
We're going to
Yeah.
for another 10 years.
Yeah, and the Wall Street Journal has an article that we want regime change in Cuba. Obviously, that's Rubio's in charge of that. There's a lot of speculation. Are we going to do something with Iran? Because we sent 3 cruise missile destroyers and aircraft carrier there. And if you remember, when we bombed Iran on the nuclear facilities, we launched cruise missiles from a submarine. So I assume that submarine's still there, or other submarines are there. So I have no idea. Trump likes to do a shock and awe and get the hell out. So I'm not sure what they're going to do. I know Mossad was in D.C. So, but I do know our allies in Saudi and United Arab Emirates are discouraging him from doing anything. So we shall see. But yeah, so we have those wild cards in the world. Of course, we still have Russia and Ukraine, and hopefully, with a severe winter they're having, they'll stop fighting and we'll go. They'll get some sort of peaceful resolution. But that's still a ways off.
Louis, I think just a half a dozen strategic hits on places that are important to the current regime would be all it would take. We wouldn't need to have any boots on the ground, because then people would see that they have support and would begin to take
yeah, it's interesting. I live with a bunch of Persians in Reno. I'm in Florida now. But when the Shah fled Iran, he went to Mexico, and a lot of other Persians went to West LA or Reno, because Reno has the same weather as Tehran, except we're missing 15 million people. So I know a lot of Persians. In fact, I'll be on a Persian show in a couple of weeks, and I keep asking them what's going on. And last time I talked to them, I didn't know, which is kind of scary. But I do think that cooler heads will prevail, and we just don't want to alienate the people that are there. But Trump promised that if they start hanging people, he wants to go after those people. But it's a big country. That's the whole problem. It's like attacking Texas. Where do you start?
Right. Very good. Well, what about, is big tech still going to be the place to be, you think? going forward?
Yeah, NVIDIA is the leader. Palantir is outside the Magnificent Seven, but it'll be okay. Of course, next week we have Microsoft, Apple, uh, Meta, and Tesla. So we'll get a better picture then. Obviously, Tesla's all going to be about self-driving. Apple, we'll see. Meta has had a bit of a setback with AI. You know, the metaverse, that 3D world you're supposed to live in, didn't work. So we'll see. And Microsoft has not been monetizing ChatGPT as well as some other companies. So we'll see what they say. But yeah, we are still in double-digit earnings growth environment, not only this quarter but for all year, based on analyst estimates. So the techs are still going to have good earnings, except
So are all the
Tesla.
people that
Tesla's
bought
wounded. Yeah.
NVIDIA's older chips going to have to retool and buy the Rubens now, or is that just a totally different?
Yeah, well, the Vera Rubin is being built. That was announced at CES, the Consumer Electronics Show, and the delivery started in the fourth quarter. It is 5 times more energy, 5 times more powerful, 10 times more energy efficient. So just based on the power and energy efficiency, it's going to start replacing a lot of the older NVIDIA chips. So I do think it looks awfully good for NVIDIA. It's just amazing that a company of that size still has strong sales and earnings momentum. They're still accelerating.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we have to remind everybody, NVIDIA is bigger than the British Stock Exchange, the French Stock Exchange, the German Stock Exchange, and the Italian Stock Exchange. In fact, it's bigger than the last three I just mentioned. And so you do start to have a physics problem when you get this big. But I think Jensen's a wonderful founder, and I think he has a monopoly on regenerative AI, which is machine learning. You know, there's other, AMD and stuff can make other low-grade AI stuff. I have a friend that's in the AI chip business called Natural Intelligence. He's in Boise. But when it comes to machine learning, NVIDIA dominates that. They'll probably dominate quantum computing because they had a quantum computing contest, the D-Wave one. So I have no intention to sell my NVIDIA, and it's 18% of our portfolios.
Very good. Yeah, NVIDIA, as large as it is, its growth reminds me of a small cap growth company.
Yeah, it's shocking.
Expanding.
It's shocking. It is a monopoly, but if they have to start replacing the older chips to get the faster chips that are more energy efficient, yeah, it's a lock. And of course, we're making the chips in Arizona now, so we'll see if TSM can throttle up that plant.
Well, I believe there are three factors that drive prices of stocks up: earnings, and earnings. How are earnings going to be looking this year, you think?
They're double-digit all year. They're actually accelerating in the fourth quarter. That's for the S&P. This last quarter we just finished, sales were the strongest in 3 years. Earnings was the strongest in 4 years. Surprises were the strongest in 4 years. But all these stocks that are kind of priced for perfection must give good guidance. So if you don't give good guidance, you will be shot. Intel was an example. Intel's a turnaround. They missed, and their guidance wasn't encouraging. So all these stocks are going to have to give good guidance.
Mm-hmm. Is Idaho Resources still high up on your
Yeah,
list,
that was up 10% today. IDR was up 10% today. But that is a small cap. That is extremely volatile. And so when you buy that, you're grabbing a tiger by the tail. It does have a rare earth play that hasn't been monetized yet. They're working with people to build that out. So it's mostly a gold stock now, but gold prices are up, and we're about to hit $5,000 an ounce. So getting pretty exciting.
Well, what about silver? Is it
silver's gotten even stronger than gold?
That is causing this increase in price?
Well, no. Gold went up because the central banks are buying more gold. I don't know if you remember a year ago, In January, gold demand was up 41% year over year. February was up 25%. The central banks are buying gold because the central banks have lost credibility in the world. And so they're trying to restore their credibility with all the gold reserves. It's a legitimate reserve currency. But silver is going up on industrial demand. Some of it's in solar panels, but a lot of it, the data center build out helps. That's why copper prices are up. There's clearly a lot of copper in data centers. But, your comment about the deficit is interesting. We have to fight these people called bond vigilantes. And they're really on Japan right now because Japan has a new prime minister who wants to spend money. And so their yields are rising. And obviously, Japan's economy is shrinking, even though they have the highest birth rate in all of Asia. So they got that. They're trying to fix that. But Britain has the same problem. Britain chased out the wealthy, and there's not enough money to balance the budget. So now they've got these middle class tax increases they got to do. And then France has a severe budget problem. They haven't been able to do a budget for over 2 years because Marie Le Pen controls the parliament, and Macron is just a minority, so he's probably going to be on his way out. But in America, well, not only are we demographically younger, and not only do we assimilate our immigrants, but and we normally do have quite a bit of immigration, but we're food and energy independent. We also have a lot of collateral, so I don't know if you remember Vandenberg Airport Base told Musk that he can't launch any more missiles. A lot of it was political. They didn't like him and helping the Trump administration with Doge and all those things. So, if I was Trump, I would just tell Vandenberg, well, we don't need to launch missiles here anymore. You just denied everybody. So let's just turn all this beautiful land in Santa Barbara into oceanfront lots. And, start selling. He's a real estate developer. Start selling that. Pay down the deficit. We have El Toro Marine Base. We could get all the ordnance out of the ground, turn that into oceanfront lots. They own the Presidio. They own Moffett Field. I happen to live in Nevada. They own 90% of the state. So the government has a lot of collateral. Okay, and we may eventually have Greenland.
Mm-hmm. I was glad to see that it appears like Trump and Musk have buried the hatchet, so to speak. You don't see them together a whole lot, but they're not throwing darts at one another either.
Yeah, I think Musk had to go back and try to repair his image. A lot of people that threw him under the bus. They're still suspicious of him, but obviously he still sells lots of cars in California and places like that. They were never supportive of him anyway. So, but Musk is an interesting character. He paints a picture of the future, and his future includes robo-taxis and Optimus robots, and a lot of people love his vision of the future. He actually did a presentation in Universal Studios. It was very well scripted, but now he's got to execute, and that's not easy. Mm-hmm. So, but that stock is trading on that hope for that right now.
Mm-hmm. His vision may exceed the company's ability to do it.
Yeah, and he's still not using LiDAR. In the Mountain West where I have a home, we have an animal problem. You do, I'm sure where you are too, but all the deer and stuff running around. And but even I have bears because I have fruit trees. I got a bear in my driveway quite a bit, and we don't want to hit an animal. And so when we drive at night, we have these vehicles with LiDAR to see the animals, and the vehicles will stop if they see something. It may not be in time to stop hitting a deer, but we're trying not to hurt the thing. And but Tesla's not using LiDAR now, and I guess that's one of the controversies. When they started the robotaxi in Austin, it did see a black cat during the day, and the car stopped. But I don't know if we'll see a black cat at night because it's a camera-based system versus a radar system. So we'll see.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Well, you talk a lot about your system when you on your podcast when you talk about stocks that are rated A, B, C, D, F, heaven forbid. And I think you started actually developing the system when you were in college based on your autobiography. Uh, do you sell that system or use it specifically for and only for Navalier management?
Well, the system is actually free in the public domain. I should explain what's
Is
free.
it?
The quantitative grade is alpha over standard deviation. We think we do better alphas than everybody else. A lot has to do with correlation indices and matching the stock up with the right indice. So, and the indices may change if the correlation changes, but we think we do a better job. So, but as proud as I am over with my alpha over standard deviation ratio and my quantitative ratio, I have an 8-factor fundamental model that has been beating my quantitative model. And now both systems work. Both systems, find winning stocks, but we combine the two to find the creme de la creme. And I'm very picky. And our strongest model is something called a fundamental A. And what a fundamental A stock is, it's a stock that's in the top 20% of sales growth, margin expansion, earnings stability, earnings momentum, cash flow, return equity, also earnings revisions and earnings surprises. So Palantir, PLTR would be a fundamental A stock, for example. And those are the most extraordinary stocks we find. We usually have less than 10 at any given time. Now I only have 4, just so you know. But we like data mining. We like testing the system. But last year was a year where it wasn't a sector market. It was mostly data centers, gold stocks, and Eli Lilly, I'll be honest with you. And it's trying to broaden out now, but it's still a shockingly narrow market. And we just want to keep everybody in the creme de la creme.
What percentage, if we end up with a 5% GDP, what percentage of that would you say is the data center build out, AI
Well,
build
that
out?
was Jason Furman, who, if you remember, he was Council of Economic Advisors under President Obama. He's a Harvard economist, and he pointed out that 92% of our GDP growth in the first half of last year was data centers. But if you look at the data center order backlog, it's getting bigger and bigger. I know from second to third quarter was up over 20%, and year over year it's up 50 to 65%. So that boom is going to continue. Obviously, there's an energy shortage problem. So what they're doing is they're taking natural gas lines and they're using their own turbines. You can get turbines from aviation. You can, because the big natural gas turbines, the size of trains, that Siemens and GE makes, GE Vernova, those are 5-year wait list. That's what the utilities like use. So they're using their own turbines. That's what the Grok did in Memphis. Bloom Energy is natural gas fuel cells. That's what Oracle's doing in Brookfield data centers. Brookfield is one of the largest data center landlords in the country. So they're trying to bypass the grid. Now, obviously, this winter storm you're having is going to severely test the grid. You already see natural gas prices soaring, so we'll see. Because if you get an ice storm on the power lines, it's not a good thing. As
And we're
Montreal
going to have
found
a lot
out
of
a
that.
while ago.
Yeah. Fortunately, it looks like the system is going to be a little further north than they expected, so maybe we won't get as much here. But
Let's hope not.
I wouldn't mind
When you're
getting
near the
some
coast,
snow. But
when you're near the coast, there's something called latent heat, from the water, and so it gets harder to have a freeze on the coast.
right. Has Florida ever had snow?
Yeah, we had it last week. It was in the Panhandle. Yeah, yeah.
Was that
They,
it's in the Panhandle? Okay.
yeah, it was the Panhandle and it didn't melt, but yeah, it was South Georgia, Alabama, and but it was the Panhandle area.
hmm Very good. Did you go to the championship game Monday?
Did I go to what?
The CFP, the college football championship game, that was in Miami.
Oh yes, yes. I did not go to the game, but I remember talking to somebody that I thought Indiana was a good bet, and I'm glad I didn't bet because they didn't cover. So
Didn't cover, but they
they
didn't
won by
win.
6, and the spread was 7. So I tend not to bet sports games, but that's
Yeah. Well,
well,
no.
it's a growing topic betting because all the high school kids are on the apps, and you can see they're indicting a lot of players. So.
You take